Welcome to Cax Bar and Podcast, Canada's first podcast bar. What that means is you can come here for food, you can come here for drinks, you can also come here and record a podcast. Come on down, we're located in downtown Calgary, Alberta in the Beltline area. See you soon. All right, and we're rolling here today with Frank Russo, the comedian. Frank's been at the Laughs at Cax comedy show in the past. He's also a pro as far as the you're a veteran. You're a veteran of comedy.
I've been around for a while, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, how long have you been doing comedy for?
But I think like 12 or 13 years now.
12, 13 years?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Take me through your bio real quick. Where are you from? Like, age, sex, location.
Jesus. Social insurance number.
Do you remember that from chat rooms back in the day?
I never really got into the chat rooms, to be honest. I remember like MSN Messenger, but I never got into like the random stranger chats.
Oh, I remember when I was a kid. I'm dating myself, but like you go in these chat rooms and you just write ASL, like age, sex, location.
Oh,
before you even talk to whoever you're talking to. But in hindsight, like they were all 50-year-old men.
Yeah. Well, that was always
I didn't know.
That was always my assumption. Because my dad was like, go in the chat rooms, meet a girl. I was like, none of them are actually women. That's the trick.
Well, you were wise then, man. I definitely, like, my imagination was always like, oh my God, it's like Pamela Anderson on the other side and she's talking right to me.
Oh my God, no. I remember that from the Ashley Madison thing or whatever, when all the when they had that giant leak and then you found out that like 2% of the platform was real women and like everything else was just bots and dudes.
Oh, yeah. Was that actually the metrics? 2%?
I think it was less than 2%, but I'm rounding up. It was mostly, yeah. And the only reason everyone figured that out is because one of the ladies who was in charge of making the bot accounts got carpal tunnel. She just blew out her wrist saying like, sexy, or whatever the heck you were replying.
Oh, man. You know, it's just funny how, like, when reality sets in, it is what it is. Because, like, a quality woman wouldn't be on a chat room in whatever 1997 or whatever it was. Like,
it was so weird to like try and meet someone online when the internet first started, and now that's the only way anyone meets each other.
Yeah. Well, at least now it's safer, but not safer. I mean, like, back then, in hindsight, now we know for sure. Like, you're on the chat room, you're talking to a 50-year-old man or whatever, pretending to be a woman, and he's probably part of NAMBLA or some shit.
Yeah, now I'm just talking to someone who's posting pictures from 7 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Is that how your dating life's going,
buddy? I don't have one. That's the problem.
Sorry to interrupt there. We went on a tangent.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Like, I love podcasts and comedians. It's my favorite types of podcasts to do. You guys always make my day. Your origin story. Yeah. Where are you from? And sex, location.
Jesus. I'm 36 in Calgary. I'm a dude as far as I know. I was originally from Ontario, grew up in Brampton, moved out to Sudbury for like 10 years. That's where I started comedy. And then did that for a bit, but like Sudbury is in the middle of nowhere, so you're really limited as to what you can do.
Were you the only comedian in town, basically?
No, there was like 6 or 7 of us. And it was really cool because there's nothing else to do in Sudbury. So they would do a once a month open mic at Little Montreal, and like everyone and their mother would come out. Dude, what else is going on, right? So they'd all come watch. They want to see their friends bomb, like all that fun stuff. And then I moved out to Halifax after that, just to, there's a bit of a bigger scene there.
So your early 20s we're talking? Or
I started in my early 20s, 24, 25. I got talked into it by a friend. So, early 20s. Would have been that late. Yeah.
Okay. Keep going.
No, I got talked into it by a friend because I got cheated on that summer and all that. I was just not having a good summer. And she was like, "You're really funny when you're super depressed." And she bugged me about it for like months. And then one day I just snapped and I was like, "Fine, whatever. You book me whatever thing and I'll go do it." And I didn't know that she used to book bands. So like 2 days later I came back into work and she's like, "Cool, you're in Toronto, you're on this show, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh no."
Okay. Like, did you have a set ready or?
No. I did. We drove down and I had a set. And then the worst thing you can do for your first show is to drive 4 hours to it. Because I like lost all confidence in everything I'd written on the way down.
Just got in your own head, I guess.
But I was right.
Was she like, I don't know, what I saw in you.
She thought it'd be funny. And we're still good friends to this day. She was right. But yeah, no, I kind of just reprogrammed it in my head when I went down, because I was a big fan of Daniel Tosh at the time.
Yeah.
And like as I was going down, I was listening to whatever I was thinking in my head, and I'm like, I'm just doing a really shitty impression of that guy. But I went down, did my first set, Giggles at the Groove in Toronto, Groove Bar. And then after it was over, the guy who runs the place, he still runs the place. He was just like, hey, hang out when everyone clears out. So we hung out. He was like, you're not good, but like, but you can hear that you have like timing and rhythm in the way you speak. And he's like, if you stick at this, you'll probably be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, were you just? I asked all the comedians this, and it's pretty funny because you guys all the comedians that have jumped on the CAX show. It almost, I think every one of you eventually was some type of friend that told him to go up.
Yeah.
With the exception of Ben Cannon, his story is a little different. Anyway, you guys should listen to that podcast. It's the one right before this one, I think. Shout out Ben. I had a great conversation with him.
He's a good guy. Check him out.
Oh, he's hilarious. You guys are all fucking funny as fuck. Okay, so then you did it. You wait a minute. Your friends told you, your friend told you to do it because like she thought you're funny while you're depressed.
Yeah.
Did anyone, like, were you always funny like around like, growing up? Like, were you like the goofy guy? Like,
no, I was pretty quiet. I never, like, I observe whatever's going on. I don't need to be in the middle of it. I'm just here to watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, but like you go to the bar with your friends, there's always like one guy who wants to fight and all that stuff. I was like, my philosophy was always, you two fight, I'll talk to your girlfriends. Like, one of you ain't coming back. Yeah. Just, be smart about it.
You two fuck, I'll just watch.
Yeah. Just, hey man, whatever. I was taking notes, figure out how to do it.
Taking notes.
Oh, dude, the first girlfriend I ever had like taught me how to kiss. So, like 5 minutes into it, she's like, you're terrible at this. And then like explained it to me. And I was like, okay.
Hold on. Wait, hang on. No, backpedal. How do you get taught how to kiss?
Dude, she
do it.
There's instructions apparently. And she was correct.
What did she say you have to do? I want to hear,
from what I've been
told, so I'm making out.
A lot of people just put their tongue in there and leave it. Not really what you're looking for. I don't know. I think.
Did you practice with your hand?
No, that, for that endeavor, I was brave enough to be like, let's just try it with a person.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't know. I guess it was, I don't know, pecking or whatever, where you just like kiss and stop thing. And it's like, hey, it's not like your grandmother at a funeral. What are we doing? Like,
what?
I don't know, man. I was like 16. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah. No, I'm actually curious.
There was no internet back then. You were just doing your best with what you had. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially when you watch it in movies, you're like, that's not how you fucking make out. Like,
they're like fake making out too. They're just like two faces pressed on each other, and you're like, sure, whatever. Yeah. I just knew when you were doing it too weird, like when you're at a wedding and they're like hard making out at the front, and you're like, oh, your family's here, man.
Who fucking told me this? Hang on, let me think back. Or maybe I told myself this. No, but it's supposed to make like a suction pop sound if you're doing it right, like in unison.
Dude, the only thing that was told to me beforehand that didn't come from another stupid kid was that you were like you were both supposed to be attempting to swallow each other. And I was like, that doesn't sound real.
Oh man. Yeah, I think and someone else said you're supposed to spell the alphabet with your tongue.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, that's how you eat out.
I was gonna say, I think that's
you're mixing this.
You got the right idea, wrong hole.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so your friend taught you how to make out. Like, would you say that's
that's probably the one skill that's carried over the next like 20 years.
Okay, you get there. You have. This is a great kisser. Fuck comedy. Let's start you with kissing food.
Oh, this day and age.
Hey, COVID's over. Everyone's vaxxed. We can do that now, I guess. All right. I don't know, man. Okay, so still in Brampton, Ontario. You're in Halifax now. And at this point, I take it you realize you have some talent in the art, and you're like, I'm gonna.
I went and I didn't even think that I was good. I knew that I was as good as I was going to get in Sudbury, because again, it's like once a month, maybe there's like a couple other shows sprinkled in. And unless I was willing to drive to Ottawa, drive to Toronto, I'm not getting on anything else. Uh-huh. So I was like, I'll just go to Halifax. I committed 2 years to it. And I was like, if I suck at the end of 2 years, it was a fun adventure. I got to see what the East Coast was like, and I'll just be done with it. Yeah.
Huh. did you really feel like 2 years was enough though? Because knowing what we know now about comedy, I mean, even Joe Rogan, all the pros, they say it takes 10 years to like really begin to be like good, and then you'll look back at your first couple years and realize you were like dog shit.
It depends how much time you're investing in it. Because again, like a lot of guys will just tell you, I've been doing it for 5 years. And it's like, okay, well, when I lived in Sudbury, these guys telling you, oh, I've been doing it for like 5, 6, 7 years. And it's like, yeah, but you're doing it once a month for 5, 6, 7 years. So you do it 12 times a year. What does that mean? Yeah. Yes, you're right. I can do 12 shows a week. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how frequent were you doing it?
I was running 2 weekly shows. Plus I was, there's all the other shows. There's at least one show a week in Halifax when I was there. I think it's like that now still, but I did, I was doing at least a show a night, and then I would go to Yuck Yucks on the weekend and just hang out, and then you get thrown on guest spots and stuff like that, and you just learn to eat shit in front of 200 people instead of the 10 that come to your open mic.
Okay. How would you describe your comedy when you first started? Was it the way it is now? Because like the way your show, like every time I've seen you perform, it's like it's smart comedy in a way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I had to compare you to a popular comedian right now, who would I compare you to? I don't know. You just make clever observations. It's almost like I don't know who to compare you to now, because I'm just going through my head.
I'm a big fan of Brian Regan, George Carlin, guys who can like sew together several jokes. Yeah. So I always kind of just went along that path.
I'm thinking someone's like specific here, man. There's definitely a type of comedian out there that's super famous. That's kind of like ballpark what you do.
I have no idea.
It's just not coming to my head, but when it comes to my head, I'll point out. No, but I appreciate it because it's clever. It's clever stuff. But the only thing I like running seeing the shows that I performed at CAX is like you need comedians almost need so much range, because sometimes with the crowd's wasted, they don't have the patience for the smart joke, right? Because like they're not processing.
I can cut my stuff down and just make it bang bang bang. Yeah.
So you do so you have repertoire.
If I have a 8-minute joke, I can cut that into 3 minutes, and then I can shuffle that all around. So if I only want to talk about this little section of it, I can, or I can make it the whole thing each as its own individual piece. Okay. It either works as a unit or it works on its own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So continue the journey then. It was Halifax, and then where?
I did Halifax. I was running a bunch of shows there. And then just like ended up back in Toronto for a bit. And then now I'm out here. There's like giant time gaps.
What, drinking, I take it?
Yeah. Well, no, because the pandemic ate like 3 years or 2 years, whatever that was. And I just didn't do comedy at all. Like I did one Zoom show and I was like, oh, this is hell. And then just quit. Like if I don't enjoy it, I'm not doing it. So yeah.
Okay. But as you were doing the comedy for like prior to the pandemic, that's still like 10 years that you've been steadily putting into this art, if you will. So were you able to make a living during this period, or do you always needed a job?
Oh, I was always bartending. Yeah. Well, you can take off, come back broke, and have money again by the end of the night. So it was a good job to have. Yeah.
Okay.
But I did that stuff for a while. When I was running shows in Halifax, it was crazy because like you take it all. Like okay, we'll do this origin thing. I appreciated my time in Sudbury because it made me, like you said, I do smarter jokes because I didn't have time to drive down to Toronto every day. So I would just, when we would go down, I'd watch everyone's set and I would just like kind of catalog what they were all talking about. And then on the drive home, and be like, oh, okay, 8 guys made jokes about blueberries. I won't make jokes about blueberries. That's sufficiently covered. Like, and you just very quickly realize all the low hanging fruit. Yeah. And so you kind of bypass that stage of writing.
Would you say your jokes were pretty tailored to like the Halifax, Sudbury, Toronto area, or could it be?
No, I always wanted to do just kind of, I guess, evergreen jokes where it applies to everybody in some way, shape, and or form. Yeah. Because the funniest thing to me is when you go to like Canmore or something, you see Toronto guys come in, they start telling you about the TTC and stuff, and it's like they don't have subways here and buses.
Like the references over their head. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about just the comedy thing. Like it's so diverse. It's so like there's just so much like range, you know what I mean? Like you can't, someone might be funny in one circumstance, but they're completely not, it's not applicable to
you gotta find your crowd, and then you gotta get your crowd to find you. Cause there's guys who have like huge followings, but then they'll go to Yuck Yucks and they'll kind of just get like a tepid, lukewarm, whatever. And it's like, that's This is like the most generic crowd you'll get. It's just people who are like, oh, let's go see a comedy show. They have no idea what they're going to see. They have nothing really in common. They're just here because it was cheap.
I feel like your jokes, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the more you do, the more like material you'll have. When I say do, I just mean the more life you live, the more like if you were a rich guy and you were like just traveling the world, you know, because you can probably take that same principle of observing and then, you know, like put a humorous spin on it. You probably have like, you probably could be global famous. In a
Maybe
weird way,
I would be, if it was going to happen, I'd prefer it to happen soon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I try and just, whatever the most basic human stuff is, I kind of just go for that. Because I don't get caught up in pop culture stuff. I don't have TV or anything like that. So I'm completely divorced from everyone else in that regard. So yeah, just anything that like stresses me out, that whatever. I like talking to people, like just random people. At shows afterwards, I'll chat with a crowd or whatever. And if stuff comes up in everyone else's conversations, it's like, oh, okay, this is the thing that's bugging you, that's bugging you, that's bugging you. Oh, this is a thing that occurs in people's lives. All right, let's analyze this a bit more. And so yeah, I'm a nosy person. That's I
don't know, like I enjoy just like shooting the shit with you because like just a few times we had drinks, you know, like with Tasir, or even yesterday you popped in, like just the random nonsense that we got into. It's like you definitely feed off of each other. I can tell because like not a moment goes by without something ridiculous that you know that said. Even something like sensitive and serious, you somehow spin it into something highly inappropriate.
The worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's happened to you. So like that, and it's that sort of, so whatever, for you can't talk about this because X, Y, and Z. It's like, okay, well, guy over here had like A, B, and C happen to him. That's way worse than X, Y, and Z. So so you don't really, I don't know. I don't get too like aggressive. I don't think I talk about anything too like out of bounds. On my sets, anyways, off stage, yeah. When there's no recording, for sure.
Dude, like obviously, I'm still getting to know you, and I just hung out with you a couple times. But I remember I met she shall not be named, but I met some crazy girl that you used to date or something like that, and then she said a bunch of stuff about you. I remember, and then I remember thinking to myself, like, I met Frank Russo the one time. Like, is he really like that or whatever? And then. And after I interacted with you the other day, you know, like it's like oh wait, there's my girl. But anyway, but all I'm trying to say was like because you said that you got super depressed when you got cheated on when you were younger, right? Yeah. So I was like do you have like a gloomy side to you or something like that?
No.
Are you kind of like a dark poet comedy kind of guy?
Not really. I'm usually actually pretty content in life. Like I'm never actually miserable. If I don't want to do something, I'm not doing it. Like that's, and I don't mean that as like a hard whatever. If I'm dating someone, they want to do something, we'll do it. But
she said you were like not like she just said you were like she's like oh Frank was like a bummer, you know what I mean? Like he was fun and he was like a bummer all the time. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, I don't know, maybe it's part of his like artistic process or something, but like he was just like a bummer around me after a while, and I complained about that, and then he just ghosted me or something along the lines of that. And
I usually try not to litigate relationships when the other person's not around, but this is a very one-sided story, we'll say.
I'll tell you off air who it was.
Yeah.
I think you do know because I think I brought it up.
No, I know who it is.
But then I was sitting there thinking, I was like, yeah, but he's a comedian, man. I mean, like, you know,
I never say anything bad about anyone I've dated, so whatever. It is what it is. Not everyone's built for everyone else. That's the long and short of that story.
Yeah, I guess like if I had like a point I was trying to like carve into with that the human psychology part, I was trying to think. I was like, dude, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you're dating a comic and you think they're supposed to be happy-go-lucky all the fucking time,
no, true.
Like, a lot of comics are like they're super funny, but they're you know they are depressed behind the scenes, or like, but because they're usually very smart, like they see how fucked up things are, or maybe the circumstances horrible, or you know what I mean, like, and then that's actually the source of all their jokes, but they're still in that horrible situation.
Without getting too far into it, I'm not someone who really enjoys drinking regularly, and I don't really like. Yeah, some people just want to go to like raves, do stuff like no, I'll have like a beer, a couple, whatever. But like, how often do you see me here getting shit faced? Never.
Never.
Yeah. Come to CAX, get shit faced. Like, don't get me wrong, don't follow me.
Great place to get shit faced.
Great place to get shit faced. Great place. No, it's just some people, particularly here, have noticed that like drinking is a very big part of some people's lives.
It's also because this is a bar, and
No, I know this is a bar. No, but like I worked in bars my whole life. I'm obviously not above it or anything. No, and different people, different lifestyles.
I just want to feel okay, Frank. I just want to know you're okay.
I have an air conditioner in my house. I'm doing great.
Oh fuck. A little curious about this. Take me back to that. You said some chick cheated on you way back in the day, and then that was like the origin story of like you getting into the comedy. But like, how does that make you want to go tell jokes?
No, it's just because like you're in your early 20s, you don't know how to like handle things because everything new is new, right? If I got cheated on now, I'm like, better to figure out now than years later. So yeah, back then I think she came to where I was working at a golf course, and she came there with the guy. I was like, oh fuck,
oh no,
yeah. So it wasn't even just like you get caught cheating. It's now in front of everyone you work with and all of your friends, and it's you're dying like 1,000 deaths.
Did she know you worked at that golf course?
I don't believe so, or I'm assuming it slipped her mind.
I was like, well,
I was rotating between three. The people who own that one own 3 of them, so it's rotating between the 3.
So she just rolled the dice. Like, Frank's gonna be
took a chance. Yeah,
been there, man. No, not the golf course, but it
is what it is.
Yeah. No, but you're right. It is like there's nothing quite like that first getting cheated on experience when you're a kid. Because it's so crazy of a feeling. Like you can't even like you can say you're trying to explain to someone who's happy-go-lucky, who's never been hurt in life yet, and you're like, okay, so if you ever get cheated on by the time you're in your early 20s, you're trying to describe how like you basically lose all of your life force. You're gonna be like, what does that even mean? But until it happens, it's kind of like,
and I'd like just finished university, so like you're sold the whole thing. You go to university, you come out of it, you're gonna get a job. I was bartending with no other job prospects or whatever, and it's like, okay, this is kind of hard. Oh shit, okay, and it's just life's kicking you in the dick.
I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's just let's
litigate all my old relationships.
I don't know. I guess like I had an idea of you in my head, kind of. So I'm trying to like.
I usually try to avoid anything anyone else says about someone else, particularly if they're like in an ex relationship.
It's not a bad thing. It's like I guess the way the way I talk to strangers, if you will, like. I rely on my life experience in tells and cues, and then from there I kind of like I approach it like the way I think the person is until they kind of reshape my perception of them in real time, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's the one we have to work with. It's no different than if you walked in and you met like a monk from the mountains in China. Like you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna treat this guy like the monk from the mountain in China, kind of like like. You're not gonna go up to him and be like, yo, bro, you want to do some shot of Jaeger? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just, you're gonna assume the guy doesn't drink. He's super stoic, and all day he trains to do the splits and have his friends kick him in the balls or whatever. Right? You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like, so it is. There's a little bit judge the book by its cover, but it's not really a cover. It's just more like, what information have I gotten?
When I was running comedy shows in Halifax and in Toronto, particularly Toronto, because Halifax is a bit of a smaller community, so you can't really get away with bullshitting about people too much. But in Toronto, like I'd book a lineup. And then 6 hours before the show, I'd get DMs from people I've never met telling me that, oh, you can't have this guy on X, Y, and Z.
Oh God.
And then it's always like, okay, well, would you say this to the guy if he was here? Like if I had him do a chat right now, and it's like, oh, message deleted. And and so I don't take any. People can tell me anything they want about somebody else. I'm like, okay, noted. But like, also, it's not really secured information. Like I'm like, okay, it's up there.
Especially now, you're a mature adult now.
That helps.
As a young kid, you might be like, oh, he said that. Oh, well, then he's out.
Yeah.
I don't know, but the comedy scene though can be very toxic though. What I've been observing, there's been a lot.
It's toxic if you let it be. I don't have time for it, and my philosophy, because I help produce a show on Tuesdays at Potion Room and Thursdays at the Dirty Duck. I help run those ones, and it's just when you're the producer, you're the only one who has to sit through this whole thing.
Yeah.
So why would I put on a show where it's full of people I don't like?
Right. Yeah. Plus, at the same time, you've been doing it 10 years. I just
but my thing is, like, when I say I don't mean in terms of you bad at comedy or I don't like what you're saying on stage. I mean purely as you as a person. Like, if you're I don't give a shit if you're terrible at comedy. If you're a cool dude to hang out with or whatever, you'll get better at comedy. We're all shit when we start. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're like a creep or a weirdo, or you like running your mouth about other people when they're not around, it's like, neat. I don't need this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's well, it's kind of why. Well, anyway, it's kind of why the format of the show switched.
Yeah.
It cacks. But yeah, no, it's just, I don't know. There was just so much drama that was unnecessary towards the end. And and I was just kind of like, what's going on here? Like, I'm just trying to make people laugh. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, but I think it's also the nature of the comedy game, because it's people are vying for attention, you know? So when you're vying for attention, if people aren't, more further along with if they're not more mature, they're going to get super jealous and insecure.
Dude,
and they're going to want to tear down someone else because they feel like it's affecting their ability to get the shine, right? Because their entire ability to get more work is to have attention, right? So I kind of see it like that, because it's no different than, I don't know, like say you and I are the only two rappers out of a small town, like, and then all of a sudden there's one contract up, like, we're going to be like, oh fuck, I better either like wish Frank good luck, but suspiciously I might be like, man, there's only room for one contract, like, so I don't know.
My philosophy in terms of comedy is what's good for comedy is good for comedy. So if you've got a great show on Thursdays and I got a show on Wednesday or something, cool. Because everyone who goes to your show, if they're just cruising around on Wednesday and they see the poster for my show, they're like, oh, we like comedy. We went to this other show. It was well produced. We'll go see this, because it's probably going to be some of the guys that's on that one. Whenever anybody starts getting, it's usually like a newer comic thing. But when you start getting like jealous of somebody else's spot or whatever, nobody has a spot. You're at an open mic. Like, yeah. And I just explain that to everyone if they start getting upset. It's like, yeah, dude, no one's getting famous at the Dirty Duck. Like, nobody. There's nothing at all that you should be upset about.
I don't know, man. With this one dude, I remember, just keeps going around saying, like, you're afraid of my talent.
I know exactly who that is.
Like, good Lord. I was like, afraid of your talent. Like,
oh, you mean a lot of delusional people. Don't get me wrong.
But I don't know. But that person's not necessarily not talented either. Yeah. But I'm just like, it's just like going up to someone saying, like, do you know who I am? And it's like, dude.
Most of
who wants to work with you after that?
So that's the thing. Somebody explained that to me early on in comedy, where it's like most of your opportunities will come from the question, can I travel with this person?
Right.
And it doesn't matter how funny you are. If I can't stand you to be in a car together for 6 hours, you're not coming.
Unless they're a phenom,
even then. But at that point, you got to be making money off them, and that's a different power dynamic. But in terms of like, if you're all just starting out and you're whatever, but you're like a nightmare. I have a bunch of friends who have stories of like trying to find like you do the show or whatever, and then buddy, he's gone until 7 a.m. in the morning, and you're trying to find where he is because you got to go to the next town and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's just unnecessary hassles.
Mm-hmm. So I take it you've had enough experience now to like be able to like kind of see who's
I'm
crazy.
Fully aware that not everyone who does comedy is a balanced person. And I went into this, the very naive mindset of like, oh yeah, I'm just coming to tell like 6 minutes of dick jokes or whatever. And it's like, I've had to send cease and desist letters. I've been physically threatened. I've had to like remove people from stage, just everything. And you're like, this for like 7 minutes in front of 16 people, 5 of which didn't even know this thing was going to be here. Like,
yeah. And what a bizarre choice of career, because like, think of it this way. If you're in any other job for the most part and you don't like it, or like there's some kind of toxic work environment, you can kind of just quit and go find another job. Yeah. But with this craft, it's a small circle. You're gonna run into the same people over and over. So it's like, it's kind of like you kind of have to like learn fast on how to get along with people, if you will, And,
but like comedy is also the last step before therapy for a lot of people. And there's a bunch of them who like, you're the first person who's ever told them like no. Or you're the first, like, we light you at 5 and then you light them at 5 and they're like, oh, I've got like 4 minutes of jokes left. And it's like, neat, music on, like, get the fuck off. This is,
before I segue into the basically all the fun stuff you and I talked about yesterday off the air, I do gotta admit, like, sorry, hold on, I'm losing my train of thought here.
No,
because I was trying to talk about, I got it back here. I noticed a lot of comics, like they might really kill it in under one crowd, and then people kind of like like they want to ally with them, right? All of a sudden, because like, oh, this guy's like on the rise.
Yeah.
But then that same comic spits and set doesn't work in another crowd, right? And all of a sudden you see the same people kind of like all of a sudden decide like, ooh, now they're on the fence of whether or not like I want to rub shoulders with this phenom.
That's a bigger problem in bigger scenes. Like in Toronto and Vancouver, if you get in trouble for something, there's all kinds of people who can't wait to cancel you, blacklist you, all that crap.
Yeah.
But if you have any modicum of success, you have a YouTube channel that's got like whatever 5,000 subscribers or something. All of a sudden, oh hey, like are you looking for guests? All that shit. Yeah. There is a lot of that, but that's in everything.
That is in everything. I guess like how do you navigate through that? Like or because again you've got 10 years experience, like, or are you able to? I don't know. Or are you like? Do you have like a sixth sense now from doing it for 10 years? Like,
I'm not a very social person, so I'm very skeptical. I'm not really. I'm not a very social person, so I'm usually skeptical of most people who want to hang out to begin with. But that's the thing. Like,
did you find it weird that I asked you on this podcast? You think I just
no? That's fine. I know you. Like, you're on comedy shows and stuff. No, that's fine. But like, if somebody is going out of their way to meet me to like want to work on something that's like, I've never even met you. You don't know me from a hole in the ground. Like I could be some like weird psycho. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so you don't have a sixth sense, but you have enough.
I'm aware. I've worked enough jobs. A bar particularly is helpful because you've heard every story under the sun. Bartending. Yeah, it's never anyone's fault what's happening in their life. It's always X, Y, and Z. I've
met a whole plethora, especially like the different bars I bartended. I bartended in the bougie side of town to like the dark side of town, if you will, and it just makes you like again realize like you don't know shit about people, there's such a plethora.
Everyone's got a story they want to tell you, the reason they bombed, all that crap, and you're like, okay, cool, man, just take it on the chin, move on. Like that's what life is.
And then some people they have a long ways to tame their ego, if you will.
Egos in open mic comedy is my favorite thing on earth. Because again, you are like losing your shit. I've seen friendships end over $20. You hear like my favorite is whenever somebody does the whole like, oh, shows in town won't put on like black or gay comics, da 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 da. The first comment you should see in all of those is name the show. Because they will never tell you which show won't do it. And it's usually a person just I couldn't get on because I was on last week. There's 70 people asking for spots. Like you have no idea what it's like to be the producer. I always used to make the joke. It's like for the first 3 sets you put someone on, they're always very appreciative. On the 4th set, they're always sitting in the back like I could run this better.
That's what I mean by toxic. Just like I was so naive when I started first putting on the shows. I thought it was all about like fun, right?
That's what it should be.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like,
that's what it should be.
Like super babysitting and like some people are super awesome, and like glad you met them and know they're gonna kill it later. And then some people are just you're just literally like, fuck, man, like this guy sucks, like as a human being, and you're like.
I refuse to do show up and go ups for that reason, and it's because you let in like every psycho off the street. And I don't want to watch it, so I'm not going to produce. I'll go to a show up, go up, and watch chaos happen to someone else who has to explain it later.
That is true.
My favorite one. I used to run a show out of a pot lounge when I was in Halifax. This is before legalization, when you could have pot lounges, which makes less sense. But there was what was it? We had 2 incidences. We had one guy who went above my head to get booked on the show, which is like an immediate no-no. But he wasn't even a comic. He was a theater guy, and he was looking for a place to practice his lines or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's not what we do here. And so he went over my head, told the owner or whatever that he was a comic or whatever. And the guy's like, hey, yeah, come out on Thursday, blah, blah, blah. And then when I got there, he told me that he booked this dude. And I was like, oh no, I already told that guy, fuck off. But anyways, he's here. He's like, whatever, give him 5 minutes. So we give him 5 minutes. And he says explicitly before he goes on stage, don't worry, it's not like I'm doing Shakespeare or anything. Okay. And then he goes on stage. First word out of his mouth is Othello. And I'm like, listen, I didn't pay a lot of attention in English class, but I know that fucking name. But at that point, like I had such a good rapport with our audience and stuff, and it's a pot room, so like everyone's kind of fried.
Yeah.
So instead of just like ignoring you because you're bombing, they all just turned and looked at me what is this?
Yeah.
And he was one of the dudes who, like, when he got the light or whatever, he was like wrapping up whatever he was doing, and then he turned away from me to like start a new thing, and I just arm over the top, take the microphone, give it up for that guy. And then after he was outside, he was all pissed off, and he was like telling me that he's coming back, and I'm like, no, you're not. Yeah, and then he got like real worked up, and he was like, yeah, but we do whatever, like theater or whatever, that's a real, and he like stopped himself, and there's me and like 3 other comics out at the door at this point. I'm like, say the word art. Because I know that's what you're about to get to, and you caught yourself. Say that theater's a real art and comedy isn't.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we never saw him again. And then the other one was Andrew Alberts. He's dead now, but he was a funny dude. He came in, he did his set. Everyone loved it. People were buying like CDs and shit afterwards because he brought a bunch of merch with him. Then the next day, the owner messaged me. And he's like, dude, I'm getting like a bunch of emails about like how offensive and like disgusting that guy was and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, were we at the same show? Like, okay. So I go in to talk to him, and it's one of his staff members who like hung out for the show or whatever. And they were really offended at one joke. And the version that they retold was like nothing of what the actual joke was.
Yeah.
And so I just had to like listen to this person invent a scandal in their own mind.
Yeah.
And so after they were done, I was like, okay, well, Andrew sold a bunch of CDs and stuff, and he was nice enough to give me one. We can listen to the joke right now.
Yeah.
And so the owner just popped the CD into his computer, and we sat there, we listened to the 3-minute bit or whatever, and he just stops the thing, and he's like, all right, you don't work Thursdays anymore. Cool.
Yeah. Man, that's so crazy how that happens. Like you just people have this. They sometimes you just realize. Well, not sometimes. It happens all the time. People just make shit up in their own head. They get like a portion of the information. Like,
oh, dude, she was like telling everyone in the room was offended, and I'm like, we recorded that thing. Like, what are you talking?
Yeah, man. Dude, and I mean, I hate to say it, but like a lot of this is just drugs and alcohol too. Like people are just so fucked up, and they can't keep memories straight or stories.
Can't keep memories straight. There's a lot of people who only think in buzzwords. So if they hear you talking about a topic that they know they should be immediately offended about, they get so lost in like how they're supposed to feel that they miss what you're actually saying.
Man, yeah, I have so many examples. Just even working the bar scene where I'll watch 2 people just get each other so riled up over something that I was there listening to sober as I was pouring the drink. I was like, that was not what was even said. Like, as in like, it could be, I don't know, something as simple as like, say, hey, so this guy brought up that, I don't know, like I have a hat, you know, that is black. I have a black hat. And all of a sudden that one guy's like, he's racist. He said something racist about black people. And you're like, what? And like, he's still talking about a hat that's colored black. And then next, you know, it takes on like a life of its own. And you're sitting there like, you guys are completely out of your fucking mind. Like completely out of your mind. And it picks up more momentum. Next, you know, it's actually this whole thing that has to get like kiboshed and stopped. And sometimes I'm just like, man, like people suck. When people suck, they really, really, really suck, you know. And when they're awesome, they're really, really awesome. It's
I can't remember what night it was, but if you guys still have the security video, I'd love to watch it. I was here the night where the guy with an insane amount of talent.
I'm aware of the situation, but go on.
Yeah, he was like sitting at the table, and he was jawing at some lady at the bar, and then she like dove across the table to like take a swipe at him. And if you go back and watch the security, everyone else like gets up and moves, and I'm just sitting at the bar, turn around and go, "Oh, that makes sense," and I don't move at all. This situation will handle itself.
That was everything about that got squared away. But I was just like, what happened? Like, you know, and like we're just serving booze. Everyone's supposed to be happy. This is just complete craziness, you know.
Everyone else is like buzzing around. I was just sitting there laughing, having a drink. Like, oh, so
do you think that? Well, excuse me. Woo. But do you think like, because people at the end of the day, like, your mind is your life, really, right? So if you're so traumatized, you have so many things going on that's going wrong in your life, and you have to like constantly do fictional self-talk to get through your day, like then it's not improbable that crazy weird shit is going to happen all the time, because like how maybe these are the only ways people can manage themselves.
You don't even have to be having a bad life. You can be having a good life, but if your mindset is that you're perpetually attacking yourself, then if somebody else says anything, you're going to filter it through, oh, they must have meant this. It doesn't, it has nothing to do with reality.
Yeah, no, but aren't we all like slightly guilty of that to a certain extent? I think it takes a lot of ego control and humility to be able to be like, you know what, I just realized I completely fucking butched a story in my head just because I didn't want to be the bad guy in the story when I was clearly the bad guy. I don't know, like drunken nights or dumb shit that was said, like, or like, those dudes that, they go on a bad date and they explain to everyone like, man, this girl was a complete crazy person. Like, I had to not take her out again, but really you were the one who was crazy. You know what I mean? But you just realize, well, if I continue to acknowledge the truth there, I probably will be riddled with inability to function later due to like just feeling so low. So I may as well tell myself a lie so that I can feel better and just keep hammering that in. I don't know, man. Like people can convince people that they committed a crime they never even committed because like the human mind's so fragile, I
refer to it as we all live in our own universes. We all share the same reality, but you all live in your own universes.
Are you sorry to interrupt, but are you a Game of Thrones guy? Or
no, I haven't seen any of them. Like I said, I don't have TV. I don't have Netflix. I don't have any of the stuff.
I had an example to compare to that, but I don't know. But keep going.
No, I was going to say you live in your own universes. Oh, for the for when you go on a date and it's like this person's nightmare, but it's actually you. I feel like that's a natural part of life. And it's everyone learns. There's only one way to learn a life lesson, and everyone has been someone else's life lesson. Yeah. Like whatever, you go on a date and it's too soon since you last broke up. You spend the whole day talking about your ex-girlfriend. That's not a good representation of you as a person as a whole, but it happens. And like that person's going to go home and be like, I got this fucking psycho. He's like stuck on his ex-girlfriend, blah, 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 blah. And then on the flip side, like when you're young, you go to the bar, you meet someone who's like older than you, whatever. They take you home. You're like, oh, this person's cool. They never call you again. And you're like, what happened? And then 5 years later, you're that person at the bar.
Yeah. Life's a trip like that. It takes but the fact that you and I are even talking about this shows we have enough wherewithal to know that like these things happen. It's just really remarkable how it still happens and people just have to, I don't know, like keep trucking along and shit like that, because I don't know, we're multifaceted. We have the side of us that's detached. We're not chatting about it like this on a podcast, but then you can be in the situation later making the same mistake because you're no longer detached. Now you're like it's like a game. You're in third person mode. You see the whole landscape of the map and you're kind of like just narrating how the game's going. All of a sudden now you're in first person. You're the guy in the game, in the situation. And now you're the one trying to dodge bullets and you're doing a horrible job or whatever. So I don't know. It takes like, I don't know, but like kind of like picking up off what you said, like it takes a lot of experience to hone this shit in. So I don't know, man. So to all the mental health illness going on out there, it's like there's really no solution other than keep trucking along and hopefully you get it right one day or minimize the mistakes later.
I think part of the mental health thing is that a lot of people get sold the idea that everything's supposed to be great. And it's not. It just, life doesn't work that way.
At what point do you think in history we started selling that idea? Because there's no way people that did that in the past, otherwise no one would survive. The past is probably the opposite. They probably telling everyone like, hey, everything's hard, so you better get tough and,
I want to say it's like shortly after the internet. When did Facebook kick in?
Recent? Okay.
Well, no, because everything, if you go online, particularly now on like Instagram and Facebook, people lionize having a mental illness. It's okay to be depressed all the time, like blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you should try and figure out how to not be.
I thought it was like the invention of like the Care Bears or something. You know what I mean? Because as a kid, you see all these fucking happy bears and shit.
Well, dude, you want to tell your kid about like the hardest shit in life, all right?
Yeah,
let them have some.
It's upsetting when you see all these fucking like happy bears and like shit like that, like hanging out and blowing fucking happy juice out of their stomachs and stuff like that. You just naturally think optimistically when really you should have been watching, I don't know, some hardcore just some more hardcore cartoon as a kid to like kind of like
Dragon Ball Z really got me ready for the world.
Well, even Dragon Ball Z was very very bizarre for a kid, because you got a perverted old man and you got a pig chasing chicks.
When you go back and watch some of that stuff, you're like, oh, this is a little bit weird. Yeah.
Very weird indeed. Yeah, and I don't know, but I almost feel like it was us '80s kids that were just like coddled, like with too much happy cartoons, but who knows? I don't know, because just before the invention of these colorful colors on TV screen, pretty sure if you're in ancient Europe, I was in ancient China, we'd be right away like, okay, by the way, you got to learn to hunt, you got to learn to fish, you got to that's physical and hard. There's no childhood. Your childhood is just early adulthood. You know what I mean?
But I think that's
the invention of a childhood is kind of like a new thing.
That's part of the problem. Because I was reading some news thing a little while ago where I think Alberta wants it so that 13-year-olds or 14-year-olds can work or something. And I was like, I was working at 13. As soon as I turned 13, my dad was
most kids now don't work till they're 20.
Yeah, my dad used to do construction, so I was just the guy on the site, picking up all the heavy shit. You weren't doing anything, but you were doing everything. Yeah,
I was washing dishes.
Oh, dude, I've been a bricklayer. I've leveled when they put the gravel in the basement before the cement goes down. You just gotta go down there with a rake and it's just miserable shit.
And we were complete pussies to our ancestors who were probably working by the time they were able to poo without a diaper.
Dude,
okay, now you contribute.
My brother always laughs at those because you'll see the videos of kids in China. They know how to make breakfast and tea by the time they're 6 or whatever, and his kids are useless.
Yeah. I don't know but being able might be coming back sooner than you think. If we have a nuclear holocaust and we're back spoiled, and now we're all forced to go back to our inner ways and survive and get hard and not be all obsessed with fucking I
don't think I'm an underground person. I'm just gonna walk into the radiation and have it be done with. Well, I was in Toronto. I was living there when somebody, I don't know if you know this story. It was 2017, 2018, 2019, somewhere in that bracket. Somebody at the nuclear power plant forgot to turn on the test button first before they sent out the mass text that says the nuclear plant is having a meltdown. Okay. Panic, shit your pants.
Was this in Hawaii, I think?
No, this is in Toronto. Okay. Yeah. And so I had just finished working at a nightclub. I'd gotten home at 5:30, slept for an hour, and then woke up and there's this message on my phone that says the nuclear plant is melting down.
Speaking of which.
Hey. Yeah, the nuclear plant is melting down. Take your iodine pills and hope for the best. Yeah. And I was just sitting there okay, well, I don't have a car.
It's the end of Frank Russo.
It's 7:00. I went back to bed. I was like, whatever. Wait, in 100 years when they find me, I'll be the guy who just went back to bed.
With your hand down your pants.
Oh, the word. You don't want to be one of those guys running in the streets panicking or whatever. I'm like, what am I going to do? Run 4 blocks up the road, then die?
I guess you're right. I don't know. People don't think normally. In hysterical moments. No,
that because I saw the Hawaii one or whatever, and there was people getting into the sewers, and I was like, that's not how a nuclear bomb works. You would just be broiled in shit.
There's no running anywhere.
Yeah, you're just in it. You're in the worst instant pot.
Yeah, unless there's, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about the A bomb that does damage to World War II, unless there's a little smaller.
Oh, they've gotten so much bigger. The A bomb is nothing now compared to what they have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't stress too much about that stuff. I just deal with whatever I can deal with in my local life, and then everything else, I'm like, all right, well, we'll catch that when it comes.
Okay.
Yeah. Once it's my problem, it's my problem. But until then,
is that your approach to life? Just kind of react instead of proactive?
Oh no, I'm very proactive how I go about things, but there's shit you can't control. Yeah.
That is true.
I have friends who, whatever, they get engaged and their girlfriend dies or their boyfriend dies or something. And it's just shit you can't control. Just random stuff happens. You take it on the chin and keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure, yeah. You really, I don't know. My one buddy said this to me way back in the day, and I kind of totally agree. In life, you really only have 2 choices with anything. Yeah. You either figure out the thing or you die. So, you really have no time to go backwards. You always have to
I think we
go forward, if you will.
We talked about this yesterday, but my dad immigrated here from Sicily, and it's that was back before the internet, back before, when you had to buy a clean tuberculosis scan from a doctor so you could get into Canada. But it's when they got here, it's not like you could just be all right, let's go back home. It's just, you're here now. You don't really speak the language, figure it out. And it's whatever I'm doing in my life, it's probably not that difficult. So yeah.
Yeah, and like, what would you say? Like, would your dad? Would he have ever said? Does he ever say like he had depression or anything? Or
My
like,
dad
or he had like no time for any of that.
My dad had multiple businesses go under in his life. One of them was he used to sell the old security thing for CDs, like that big plastic thing that they would have around it, like a rectangle or whatever. Yeah. So he used to sell those, just like business to business. And he got this giant order for $500,000 worth. And back in like the 90s, that's big money.
Yeah.
So we got this order for 500,000. He's like, fucking great. Like we're set up. This is going to be awesome. 2 weeks later, as soon as they shipped the things, that business declared bankruptcy, which made his business go bankrupt because they couldn't cover the amount of stuff they sent him.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And it's like, that's entirely not your fault, but now you're fucked. And he's like, and I got 3 kids at home and I don't have time to sit on the couch and woe is me. It's like, I got to feed you guys. So up, next idea. Like, yeah. He had
so you were there for this bankruptcy.
Yeah. Then he had another one.
So during that period, like, what happened to your house and stuff? You guys were all like, you sleeping in an alley behind Subway for a bit?
No. We did the whatever. We were My Compliments family or whatever the shitty brand of food is. We just you skim by and then house was not taken away. But but like that shut down his whole business. So then it's just whatever you got in savings, you got to get to the next thing. He opened up a music, like a CD store, music store, whatever.
How was he able to open up a second business?
No idea. That was a little young at that one. No, the business goes bankrupt, not you. Yeah. So the business went bankrupt. He starts a place called the Music Warehouse. That's doing great. He's got like 3-4 stores, and then that place gets robbed so many times that insurance won't cover it anymore. So that goes under. Yeah, and it's just every time something starts to work, you get kicked in the dick. And he
never gave up. But he was also too busy. He just had too many dependents.
No, exactly. You don't have time to, and I think that's part of the problem today is that like most kids don't have, most kids, people don't have kids now till like 35 or whatever. So it's like you can sit on the couch and, you know.
We literally have too much time. I mean, I'm like my world, I have no time. Like this thing is a 24/7. Like something's going on every time. But I appreciate that. I'm like, man, like people just should be that busy. You should be overwhelmingly busy to the point where, like, when you have to carve out time to relax, like you're incapable of thinking about your problems because you're like, wow, I took a moment to relax. So you can actually compartmentalize. People don't even realize what that term really means. Like to compartmentalize, like if you can compartmentalize with real life urgency because of the amount of time, how precious time is, how busy you fucking are, it's like you will compartmentalize. Trust me, man.
You compartmentalize stuff. There's a difference between issues and problems. Whatever. If you get home late from work and the grocery store is closed, you got nothing in your fridge, you got an issue. If you can't afford food, you got a problem. Yeah.
But it's like, you ever hear that story? The people playing soccer in the middle of World War II, whatever, in the field. Yeah. It'd be like that soccer game must have been so dialed in when they're playing because like. They're like, oh, for a moment now, like we're in this little isolated period in time to fully compartmentalize, and they probably wouldn't be able to do that if they were just in 2024 here. And like the biggest problem they have is, like some girl fucking cheating on them or some shit, right?
Well, that's because that's for a lot of people who always bug about comedy. The number one complaint is, someone's sensitive, you're gonna hurt someone's feelings, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of times they pick the worst groups as like an example, because they'll just be like, oh, you can't make fun of immigrants, they're blah blah blah. It's like, dude, if that guy's out in a field all day, they have a sense of humor. Like you have to. Like I've worked construction. People aren't salty doing construction just because it's that's what you got to be to do that job. It's you're out in the sun. It's 30 fucking degrees. It's hot. Yeah. You got to have a sense of humor. Shit happens. You just do stuff to entertain yourself. Yeah. It's people who sit in an office when your life is like completely taken care of. The biggest issue, they ran out of my favorite coffee pod. It's like that's where you run into people who have too much time to think about having problems.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and those same people just aren't moving their bodies around, so they become like extra bummed out because every second they see them.
I have to for me to write comedy. I can't physically sit down and like just write on. I have to walk around my apartment and just talk it out loud, or else I can't do it.
Yeah, we're not. Well, I don't know. Like you seem like a physical guy. So we're not meant to be. Like stagnant. Like that. Speaking of not being stagnant, I didn't realize you were super big wrestling and MMA nut.
Hell yeah.
And workout guy. Like I was sitting there like, wow, dude, I mean, like that's literally like all the same stuff I'm into. And yesterday, we had a great time shooting the shit about MMA fighting and all that jazz there.
Did you see they changed the grounded opponent rule?
For what?
MMA. Yeah. You can no longer do that thing where you're standing with a hand on the ground. You either have to be knee down or you're fair game.
Okay. So, okay, that's good. Yeah. Oh yeah, I always hated that rule.
Yeah,
yeah,
because they'd always have you in like a Muay Thai position there, and the guy's just one hand down, can't touch me. Yeah, no, that's over.
Well, unless you're Peter Yan, he doesn't give a shit about that. Yeah, no. What do you think about what do you think about like the ONE FC rules for MMA? Like,
what rules?
Soccer kicks, face stomps.
I think the face stomp is a bit excessive.
Dude, that's part of fighting.
I know it is, but like, so is gouging someone's eyes out in a bar fight. Like that. That's an option if you want to go that route. No, I don't. I don't mind. Like, I don't mind watching guys get knocked out and all that stuff. But like, when it becomes, what's the one where he got kicked off of commentary? He's the English dude, and he was screaming at the ref because the guy was clearly out of it, and the dude's just like pummeling him. He had to stop doing MMA because he had a heart condition.
Dan Hardy.
Yeah.
No, what were you saying about Dan Hardy? Sorry.
I can't.
Yeah, sorry, we took a pee break, right?
Oh yeah, no, just that because I remember that fight because it was one where, and DC's done it a couple times too, but that one Dan Hardy was like going at it with Herb Dean, I think.
Oh yeah.
And
he got fired because he was yelling at a woman or something like afterwards.
Was it? Yeah, he wasn't handling it well. But yeah, no, I just remember watching that and like I hate that, and we were in my brother's garage watching that one, and his wife's there. She kind of likes MMA, doesn't mind. But it was one of those things like when you get to that point, even she's like, okay, stop. And it's like, I don't want to watch that. Like when we got like Rampage Jackson can just like boot crush your skull. I'm like, that's attempted murder. That's not sports anymore.
Interesting. I don't know, I'm different. Like I feel like there should be soccer kicks, face stomp. You're right. Like the only rules that you take out is a gentleman's rule. Like don't gouge the mouth, pull the hair,
and stuff. Yeah,
poke the eyes. And I do agree with not striking the central nervous system. So
yes.
To temple the head, like not like because I don't know. It's just too many people would die right away.
Yeah,
But as far as face stomping goes, like you could defend a face stomp. It's just if you can't defend it, say your hands are all tied up. I feel like that's just a perfect way to get rid of some horrible jiu-jitsu, right? You know what I mean? Like someone's just like instantly like rolling on their back, like. If you have a wicked face stomp technique,
any face stomp is a wicked face stomp. You got Randy Orton just finishing dudes off with the punt across the face.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I didn't realize Frank's also a big wrestling guy too. So yeah, we literally loved like all the same kind of shit on the side there. Down the line, you meet us here. We'll do an MMA pod.
Oh, please.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. But right now the like what about sorry, I lost my train of thought again, blah blah blah. No, I think that those rules need to be in place because there's too much wrestle fucking, if you will, which again
that's fair,
is a fair art. If you can wrestle fuck someone, then go ahead and wrestle.
I find it goes through phases because wrestlers used to be a big thing, and then all of a sudden like the Muay Thai guy showed up, and you go in the wrong way, you take a knee to the jaw, and now your wrestling's over. Ben Askren.
yeah.
But the MMA goes in cycles. Because George St. Pierre was just a better John Fitch. Towards the end,
when he changed his style to John Fitch because he was so calculated on making sure he didn't take damage.
I thought he lost the last one there versus
Hendricks. But apparently Hendricks was like on a lot of
all the gas. Yeah.
But again, he has such a not great physique for someone who's on all the. But then again, I guess I know, like getting on juice and stuff, it's not always translate to having,
it's not a body. You don't. Yeah,
it depends on how you utilize the hormone and how you train and your body type still and all that. But hold on, do you think George ever did any performance enhancing drugs? He seems to know everything there is to know about it, how to beat the testing, what to look for, so dialed in. Where I'm like. Maybe you were doing it too.
I wouldn't be shocked that he knows all that stuff because if you go to a gym at that time, particularly, there would have been guys around you doing it. Yeah, there would have been.
But George is so tactical that he would never let him an advantage. Like they grease his shoulders for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I know that. Well, he used to take he used to take mineral baths before every fight because the oils would come out while he was fighting, which would make him greasier.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
But that stuff I think is gamesmanship. Like that, I don't mind.
Well, at the end of the day, whatever the rules are laid out, then you can work around the rules.
I'm a fan of baseball. The Houston Astros, outside of all the other stuff they cheated about, when they play a home game versus them, when the opponent is up to bat, they'll shut off the air conditioner behind home plate and only blow the air back into the field. And when their guys are up, they'll only open the vents in the back.
Yeah, okay, well, that's just crazy. I mean,
just
like,
stuff like that I find funny.
You got Jake Paul like literally prank calling your phone at like 5, 6, 4 in the morning,
dude. When I grew up
relentlessly, so that you screws up your sleep pattern.
When I was growing up in Brampton, just right outside of Toronto, whenever the Leafs were in the playoffs, like they had to mask what hotel the other team was at because guys would do the same thing. Yeah, they go play Nicky Nine Doors at like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Yeah.
Oh man. I don't know. Like at the end, like to circle back to the George thing, I just don't think someone like him would have let that advantage go. Like he, he's like, okay, well, I know he juices, so I'm not going to juice. But like, because that was George's whole thing. He didn't like. That's
but he refused to fight a couple guys for that reason, didn't he?
He doesn't fight unless he's tactically just dialed in. Well, that was the whole beef with the Bisping thing, right? He only wanted to fight Bisping when Bisping had the belt. He didn't want to fight Whitaker, right? Like, but 185.
Can you blame him though? Because Bisping, one of his most famous highlights is against TRT Vitor. And I bet you George is sitting at home going, "Oh, that could have been me."
George is also like, let's beat up the guy with one eye, and like he's almost 40 years old, and him winning the belt at that point was
Bisping's run was very questionable. Like, we'll put you up against number 9 ranked Dan Henderson, who's also 44 years.
Hey, he still beat Luke Rockhold.
He did beat Luke Rockhold,
and he beat him with pure like what do you call it? Like smarts, because like Jason Perillo and him, like they analyzed Luke's boxing patterns.
Joe Rogan called it out right before it happens. He's like, he has his hand down.
And Bisping, I remember he has one eye too. Yeah, like, I love Michael Bisping. I always thought he's just an absolute.
I like listening to him. He's a very smart guy. Like when talks,
his podcast is pretty sweet.
I wish he'd stop taking his fucking eyeball out when he's on other people's podcasts. You gotta please stop. I've seen it. Please stop.
I do respect the fuck out of him though. Like I know so many people that hate him because of his personality, because they just don't like that. Like they basically are racist against English or whatever. Like and
I don't pay attention.
I don't have that problem. So I'm just like, but I get. But okay, anyway, like I don't get it. What I thought I was about to say made no sense. But anyway, but the George thing is always tricky with me, because like I'm just 90% sure he also dabbled in all that. I think that he was just, it's almost like I'm just going and say what I think happened. Like I think that he thought, okay, everyone takes, for instance, steroids, as in like they enhance their testosterone. He's like, I'll do that too then. But then the next problem ended up being like, oh wait, like turns out Hendricks is on EPO and all this other shit. And George's like, okay, well, I'm not on that. So then he's like, well, now it's really not fucking cool, because like now we're not on a level playing field. Like, that's the way I think he saw that. And then, cause like when you take a look at George's physique and everything like that, like that's just,
he does have the TJ Dillashaw EPO body. But
he's also just way the fuck smarter. Like they're so smart with this timing. Like he probably like realized every rule, and then he's like, how long?
Well, they used to be allowed to IV after weigh-ins too and everything back then. They were kind of like very loose rules.
It was like they could barely figure it out, because they're also trying to run a business here. Like they want the best of the best, but after a while, man, like I mean, you take a look at the natural human body versus the enhanced human body.
I have those questions about Chimaev now, because they won't let him fight anywhere outside of Saudi Arabia currently, and it's like, why?
Well, I think that was just because he's a big draw because of his nationality and background and things like that. But
no, they won't. They won't pull him out of there. And then they say the other guy's got the blind in one eye, the Murga Meta, whatever his name is.
Go on.
He's got the red hair and he's got like the blue eye. I can't remember what his name is for the life of me. But they have a couple fighters now where like they only fight regionally, and it is somewhat because they're a draw, but then it's also like Dana White's been asked about it a bunch of times, and he alludes to it just not being, we're just going to leave him there for now. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And like, I know the one guy, the guy dude with the one eye, they won't license him in the States. It's same as Bisping. If they knew that if he was blind, they wouldn't have let him do that.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure you could find the right doctor for the right price.
Yeah. You raise a really good point about the whole gamesmanship thing, because like at the end of the day, like I don't know, I'm half of the camp of like belonging to a code of honor, if you will, for like martial arts, if you will. But at the same time, I'm like all's fair in love and war. Like you sign up to fight someone else. Like, what are the rules? Is this the testing? Like, but obviously, if you want to go for legacy, the reality now is these people's blood samples are probably going to be kept in the little lab for another,
like the Olympics when they go back 25 years and they're like, actually, this guy.
I'm sure by the time we test the naturals samples,
that's why I feel bad for Anderson Silva, because like he got popped for that right at the end of his career, and it's like, dude, you just undid like the most legendary run of all time.
But you just realized everyone was on juice. Chael Sonnen, that's why he's most hilarious. He just explains like everything he's on. And we'd be naive to think otherwise. I mean, I you work out all the time. I work out all the time. We don't look like those guys. And one might say, "Oh, you guys don't work out hard enough." I'm like, no, dude, like come work out with me. I go pretty hard in the gym. Like I only have so much tissue and genetic chemicals.
This is all pasta, baby.
You know, and, but I don't know. Like I just know better now. I just know we don't live in a fairy tale. Like the reality is a lot of things that are coming to light now is the reality of the reality. You know,
I never get like all because I know a bunch of guys who do different steroids or what's the new one? They're not steroids. They're thank you. They do that stuff. And like they'll tell you it's because they're at the gym and they see all these guys, da da da. I'm like, yeah, but everyone at the gym is fit. So like it doesn't matter. Like if you're trying to pick up a chick here, everyone's a body guy. What else do you got? Like, invest this time in developing somewhat of a personality. You're like 10 steps ahead of the dude who just eats iron for a living.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. But that guy maybe has different. I don't know.
No, I know.
Maybe he's strictly just trying to build the body to make money or to do like social media influencing shit or whatever.
Yeah. The social media stuff. There was a dude in the men's room, like doing some like live filming stuff or whatever of himself flexing. And there's just this old guy behind him like, hey, I'm fucking naked. And he's like screaming.
That's pretty funny.
It's like, dude, you're in a change room. What are you doing?
Yeah. I don't, I actually no. I might be doing douchey stuff like that soon.
No, dude.
Not
out in the like main thing, whatever. Yeah. I don't care. But like in the men's room, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
You got a shower at home, I'm sure. Like go.
The social media thing is it's the future, man. It's real time now. It's it's like you'd be a fool not to get involved with it. It's just so much more ways to make money off of that and like grow your business.
Who is the dude who just
minds and everything? So.
Who's the dude who just died? He was like 24 or 25, and it was because he was too shredded for too long.
Was it Joe Aesthetics?
Maybe, yeah. And it was just like even his doctor was like, "Yeah, you're not supposed to have like 4% body fat your entire life. Like that's not healthy."
It's just the ironies of us being human. It's like just loving that look, but realizing that look is actually the opposite of what that look portrays. Is not health.
There was a time in like 2015 where every girl I knew was trying to get into like do the fitness stuff or whatever it was, and I knew one who was like, no, I'm all natural, and then she was like hitting an inhaler, and I was like, what's that about? She's like, oh, my coach gave it to me, like gives me energy. I'm like, that's a steroid.
Yeah.
And then she had but like they did get jacked. Don't get wrong. But it's like this doesn't look natural.
But the natural thing too is bizarre to me now because like we have so much innovation in science. You're almost like denying evolution.
Oh, don't get me wrong. If I like blow out my knee or something in 10 years and they're like, here, take these SARMs, you'll be fine in 4 weeks. I couldn't take him faster. It's all good. Yeah,
it's cool. So tricky again though because
that's Triple H's philosophy on it. He's like, there's so much studies behind testosterone stuff. Why wouldn't I be taking it to heal myself and blah blah blah?
Oh yeah,
it's wrestling. This is fake. I'm not really fighting a dude.
And your quality of life goes up and everything like that. And like if you want to anti-age and prolong your life, like that should be the way to go. I mean, I know I'm gonna hop on all that technology. Like I mean, I use multivitamins and shakes and all this stuff. But I do gotta admit, like after seeing, for instance, Jake Paul versus Mike Perry the other day, I'm kind of like, dude, like you're telling me Jake's not on juice? Like, come on, you're telling me he's not on juice? Like, this guy cheats his way through life. Like, as in his entire thing is life hacks. Like everything's like a life hack.
I would like to see him in an organization that he doesn't own get drug tested.
Yeah, exactly it. Well, Conor McGregor raised a good point. He said, "Hey, man, like let's see this happen without all the drug testing and like, and then they just see the size difference and like just like." I was like, dude, come on, man. Like, like, that's where I'm like, hey, you shouldn't be allowed because you're one's a superhuman, the other one's a regular human.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, fighting.
Have you seen the guy who's trying to make the steroid Olympics? I'm very interested in watching that shit. Yeah.
But the steroid Olympics is already the Olympics. Yeah. I was always
I enjoyed that one about the whatever it was, the Russian one. When they Icarus, and it's like they had like a hole in the wall so they can pass like fake drug tests and stuff through or whatever. I'm like, that's great.
Yeah, I don't know, because at the end of the day, like, but all competition is not just a reflection of the sport itself anymore. Like, it's a reflection of life, like your total preparation for the thing, right? Like, it's like I don't know, man. It's like Eddie Guerrero, man. Like lie, cheat, and steal. It's like that's just. I don't know, but the intent too, like the intent is you're probably doing it because the other person's probably doing it, and you'd be a fool to get fucked on. You know what I mean? Like, imagine this is for keeps. Like, this is for sport. This is for like general actual war and like survival of civilization. Like, you're telling me you're gonna be like, oh, let's do it. Let's do it all natural, maybe just beans and rice.
I knew a guy who made it to AAA baseball, and he was like, everyone is just gassed to the gills because they're all trying to make the MLB, and it's like, but it doesn't make you a better player.
Yeah,
it helps you recover in the summertime. Yeah, you get a bit more pop on the when you hit the ball, but if you're not good at hitting, it doesn't make you good at hitting.
But if you get good at hitting with the better physique, then you're gonna be fucking way more marketable, way more money, and have more muscle mass to jack the ball away. And you're gonna pound your girlfriend harder. Like, so it's just like it is. I don't know, man. It's just like women taking hormones to stay younger. I don't know, taking more estrogen to maintain estrogen and maintain like that youthful curviness or whatever later. It's like, I don't know. I feel like we're going against science. Like, I used to have a different take. It was all about honor and shit. But like, the older I get now, I'm like, there's just so much fucking science. Just like, literally, it's no different than, do you want to be, have you seen Last Samurai, at least? That movie? No. God damn it. Do you know much about the Japanese history?
No, I just know that who's in that?
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, the white dude's the last.
Yeah. I think but I think that was real.
Yeah,
I think it was real.
Okay,
I gotta look that up again. But because I think the new show Shogun, which is a couple hundred years before the events of The Last Samurai, but like that was apparently real. Like, you know, like, because like the Portuguese and the if I forget which other European country, like, you know, they did land in Japan during that period to do trade. But just long story short, like in that movie, the samurai, like, they were like at the top of their game, right? You know what I mean? Like those are like some of the best samurai in history, you know, but because they closed off their doors to the world, like by the time the Americans or the rest of the world went over there, like they had guns. So then it's like, and then they were like, oh, we'll never use guns. We'll just master more bow and arrow shooting. It's like, sir, they have guns, you know, and then they actually beat them the first time because the guys didn't know how to use the guns yet, but then they just trained a little bit longer and then they shot the cannons more accurately and they fucking destroyed all the samurai.
That was World War II, wasn't it? It's like when the Germans were coming, the UK sent a bunch of guys on horses and stuff because they were like, yeah, it's like World War I again, and then they just got demoed.
Yeah,
and then someone comes back and is like, no, they got like all this shit, and they're like, what?
So it's just like you got one buddy, like, you know what, I'm gonna stay natural. So he lives the lifestyle of training the gym 2 hours a day every day, going to bed by 10 p.m., getting up at 8 a.m. So he has to sleep 10 hours a day, train 2, eat like every 3 hours around the clock, and then he gets like 90% of the same results as a guy on juice who literally only works out 3 days a week, only has to eat 2 meals a day, and then sleep 4 hours, and they can do other shit because his hormones are already jacked up. Like, so it's like, why would you be that silly not to utilize science, right? But at the same time, like I'm torn because when it comes to sport, again, like the Jake Paul, Mike Perry thing, I'm like, well, come on, like, fuck.
If it's a real sport, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. If you're playing whatever slow pitch with your buddies, like, I don't care.
Okay, so like literally the cashier can actually jump higher than the Olympic athlete because he's a cashier and he's just taking all this shit for fun. Like I don't know. That's
you can be on all the gas you want though, and then some dude like Francis Ngannou who's going to walk out of Africa, and you're like, oh, what the fuck is this?
But sir, it's like that's one guy.
Yeah, I know.
The common day to day, like, you know, like if you and I join this soccer league tomorrow, and the you know, like we want to get in shape, we want to play competitive, but at the same time we want to have fun. But the other teams is all gassed up and like just beats us 20-0 and takes their wives and have sex with them after. Like, then we're gonna be like, oh dude,
we when I played like competitive baseball after university, just in Sudbury, like not a real big thing, but there was a team of guys who had all played like AA, AAA, single A. They got paid professionally, they washed out, and so they just formed their own. They'd come demo the shit out of us like 25-0 or whatever. It wasn't fun at all. But then they'd all be like having the time of their life, and it's like, dude, this guy's a banker. Like, I work at a bar. Who are you beating right now?
Well, it's in their mind.
You committed your whole life to this. We're all driving used cars home.
Yeah, but they don't care because like that's the reality they live. Like they want to be like I don't know, man, just next level superstars. Like, in as far as anything they do, I don't know.
I like getting yoked too. Don't get me wrong. Like last year when my ankle wasn't working, like I was just doing powerlifting and stuff because I was like, all right, let's see how big we can get. And then I got big and was like, all right, I don't like this. Like I could feel myself when I was going up the stairs and stuff. I'm like, hey, this is too heavy. Like my knees hurt, my shoulders hurt. I'm like, I'm fully aware that I'm carrying like 10, 20 pounds too much. But
yeah. Oh no! So what's your verdict? Are you going to hop on steroids or not?
No, I'm okay for now. For now.
Well, what's the same topic? 40.
Yeah.
42, 43.
Oh, dude, I 1,000% would not be shocked to see me in like a testosterone replacement commercial or something.
Yeah.
There's what are the Frank Thomas with the Nugenics? Yeah.
Flashes back to like clips from this podcast. Like, I used to be a loser. This is it's like
my primary fear of like TRT and stuff is it'll give you like male pattern baldness and shit. And I'm like, I'm still doing okay, and like,
yeah. I mean, that would suck. But at the same time, by the time you're gonna be in your 40s, like shave your head or something. I don't know.
Oh no, if I'm gonna be beat up, then yeah, like I said, give me all the stuff. Like I'm not gonna be like 50 on tren.
Yeah. Just boost the T, right? High normal they call it.
That's the only one I know that always comes up, and like whenever you hear like roid rage and some guy like punches his way through a McDonald's, it's like, yeah, he's on trend.
I had a bodybuilder friend on one of the earlier episodes, and anyway, yeah, that was an interesting one because he's on all the gas and just doesn't give a shit. He's all about it
until your heart blows up at like 38. Yeah.
Like, but he does have to take time off. But I don't know, man. It's odd. It's odd. I was gonna say about all that. Like the only thing that I really don't want to do is like because once you start that program, like say you don't have children yet or whatever, like because you have to get off of it and do a lot of things to make it so you can make kids again if you want to have kids. But the other thing is just like sometimes like I lately I've been on a Mad Max kick. Like I don't watch movies, but like Mad Max,
I know that
the storyline, right? Yeah, post-apocalyptic world or whatever. I'm like, something tells me we might be heading there, and like last thing you want is to be like, oh, you have no more ability to produce even like you might have less hormones, but at least those hormones are yours, right? Like instead of say throw numbers around, but say like super guy's 10 level 10, right, of hormones. It's like, okay, now he drops down to about 7 and he wants to get back to 10, so he starts taking TRT, but then he shuts down his own ability to produce it. It's like, well, wouldn't you rather at least have 7 in the wild than 0 because you can't have access to it when the nuclear holocaust happens?
We knew a guy who did stand up briefly, and his closer was he would show everyone his bitch tits because he used to be a pro wrestler, and he didn't know what he was doing with test. He was just doing it, and knew he was getting big.
Didn't get it fixed. He just left his tits.
He wasn't a pro wrestler. He was a pro wrestler on the indie scene, so he didn't make enough money to get that fixed. So he's just a dude walking around with bitch tits now.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But you talk to him, he's like, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just taking stuff and doing whatever. It's like you were just injecting whatever, eh? The guy selling it to you wasn't like, hey, maybe don't do this.
They don't care.
I thought, but like bro science, those guys will talk to you for an hour, even if you're not even on the shit. They'll like give you all the information anyways. I'm like, why wouldn't you at least listen to them?
Yeah. But even the bro science thing, it's like that, at the end of the day, you need that facility with like, aka the doctors, because everyone's body's going to react differently.
Yeah.
And like everyone's like even with TRT and stuff, like your dosage might need to change like every so often because your body's changing all the time too. Like that's what I mean. Like it's a lifelong commitment though to like being part of a lab, and like that's kind of like I'm like I'm trying to put that off as long as possible too, because you do want to be able to just freely do shit, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't have all the answers.
Dude, when I got big from doing that stuff, I was like, all right, I'll just like scale back down now, and I am not getting as skinny as I used to be.
Well, there's supplements for that.
Dude, I'm getting older. My body's failing me in terms of what I needed it to do.
But I take a look at someone like Joe Rogan, who's like on everything, and like he just makes peace with his routine. Like the guy's on everything. Like he literally is like cold plunge, sauna, weightlifting, and on top of that, eating only elk meat. And then on top of that, he takes the testosterone and like. So it's like, okay, like, are you just ready to have that be your world? Like this never-ending routine of.
Well, that's when the nuclear holocaust comes. He knows how to hunt. He knows how to.
Even him, he's probably has like copious amounts of testosterone in like multiple different locations with his needles ready to go. And so he's like, hey, unless all of my labs get fucking like scorched earth,
dude, I'm gonna be that guy trying to like throw nets on magpies. Like you can all go hunt bears and shit. I mean,
and I don't know. I just kind of answer my own questions. That's such a like naive, superficial way of thinking about the problem, because like if that happened, everyone's going to have way more problems than just like worrying about their testosterone being.
Your biggest concern is going to be the guy who lives next to you, because as soon as you have anything,
you have teeth. Your teeth might rot right out.
Your teeth might rot right out. Your neighbor is going to pillage you as soon as he runs out of food and money or whatever.
Grow like 2-3 extra penises all flaccid. You know what I mean? Like
that'd be the worst.
Like it's like we're talking about like total complete mutation. So like, yeah, you're right. Like none of that would matter anyway.
I'd be okay with it if you just like some people have to turn into like Ninja Turtles and shit.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, those guys were
like what's the boys? Everyone just gets a new different power of some sort. It's all random.
Yeah, the are you talking about the show The Boys?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I thought you said you don't watch shows.
I know of that show.
Okay. Yeah, I got to rewatch the latest season.
I haven't seen. I stopped watching after whatever the season was where they have a. That's the only one that I've seen, and it's because I watched it when I was at home at Christmas. Where they have the giant superhero orgy.
I haven't seen that one yet. But,
it's weird.
Okay, hey Frank, I'm gonna wind this down right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no. Okay, well, fucking great talking to you. I'm for sure gonna have you on the pod again. We should do an MMA one this year. We'll
absolutely.
I'm gonna get him out of his hole wherever he is right now and get him in on this because I love that you love MMA. Obviously I think your comedy's hilarious, and when we get the comedy show back up, hopefully you can perform.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was talking to Ben about just putting on like a midsummer show too. If we can get a little bit of traction for that, definitely perform.
Yeah, just let me know what day because working the other ones is the problem.
Okay. Well, we can work around it. That one probably doesn't even have to be a Thursday. I can just pick a night or whatever.
Just pick a random whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to, because like I miss comedy nights. They're hilarious. Okay. Show notes. Last of the Franks is your Instagram.
Last of the Franks, my Instagram, and I think my Twitter. That's all I have.
Okay, that'll be in the show notes, and from there, everyone can kind of follow along with Frank if you want to check out some of his comedy and everything like that, and watch his body transformation as he hops on all the gear.
All the gear.
Yeah. Okay, bye.